So how long have you been with the St. Joseph County Police Department?
I've been a police officer for 23 years, start my 24th year in June.
Talk to me a little bit about why this year you decided you want to run for sheriff.
It's been a goal of mine for many years to run for sheriff of St. Joe County. As a member of the police department, I think it's important that the next leader of our department comes from within our police department.
So what do you think your experience will lend to being the sheriff?
Well, my experience with the Sheriff's Department has been important because I've done a lot with our local youth. I've been of the 23 years on the police department, 20 of those years I've spent in local schools. First as a DARE officer for 18 years, and then as a part-time school resource officer currently. So I've done a lot with our local youth, and as a result of that job with DARE and being with our local youth, that kind of turned me into like the public relations kind of guy for the department. So I did a lot of youth camps with kids, did a lot of programs with our local youth, which I feel is very important. So my work with not only the youth, but with community members and leaders throughout my time as a police officer, I think is very valuable and very important for the role of Sheriff of St. Joe County.
What do you think the most, pressing issue for the new sheriff coming in is going to be?
We have gun control, we have school safety, we have drug use, we have crimes that are committed. So it's a multitask job being the sheriff. So there are a lot of different things that we have to focus our attention on. But I believe that working with the community is key to help resolve some of these issues that we're seeing. I believe that being actively involved and listening to what the concerns are of the community members to understand first and most importantly what the key issues are. I as sheriff don't want to make decisions on a day-to-day basis without knowing the facts about what's taking place and what the concerns are of our community. We have, as an example, an opioid use issue. That's a national issue. It's affected us here locally, but there are other drug issues as well. On the west side of South Bend, we have synthetic marijuana issues. So there's a lot of different things that we as sheriff have to combat on a day-to-day basis. And that's where I differ from the other candidates, because I feel being involved actively in the community makes a big difference. If there's an issue, crimes are being committed in a certain neighborhood, then I need to be in front of the TV cameras educating the public about what's going on so they understand, hey, we all need to work together to solve these solutions.
Do you think that there needs to be some combating the gun violence within St. Joseph County so there isn't overcrowding in our jail, and there aren't these issues that we're dealing with and we're seeing over and over again?
I have said multiple times publicly that I am not a supporter of mass incarceration. I don't believe that arresting people is the answer for everything. I think that's why, again, we need to be upfront and out front working with our community members to combat the violence that's taken place. The GVI, the Gun Violence Initiative that's out there, we currently are not involved in that. That is something I think the Sheriff's Department needs to be involved in. And instead of spending all of our money on incarceration, food, medical cost on inmates, we need to be taking that money and doing things to be proactive and working with our community to make sure that we don't have those drug issues and those gun issues that are plaguing our community and our country. But that's why I feel that being involved in our youth at a very young age in an atmosphere where they feel comfortable with the police and we build those relationships, I think that ultimately will help reduce the amount of crime and violence that takes place.
Do you think that there's a disconnect between the police and the community right now, especially the younger community?
I do believe that, and I think that's a national trend that's taken place because of the events that have occurred with police and individuals throughout the country. So I think that again is important that we build those relationships and that trust relationship. When you have a crime committed and there's several witnesses there and none of them will come forward to talk to you about what occurred, that's a trust issue in my opinion. So we need to build that trust relationship, not only to get information about a crime that's committed, but so that way our community is able to come to us and report crimes. There are some individuals that won't even come to the police to report a crime themselves because they're in fear of the police. And we can't have that. We need a community that feels safe and comfortable with their police. That's what we're here for, is to provide safety and security for our community. And we should not have people in fear to come forward with that information that they need to provide or report a crime. So we need to build that relationship. And then I also think that helps us with recruiting with police officers and future law enforcement and jail staff, because if we don't have that trust, people are not going to pursue jobs in law enforcement.
Are you going to work to add more officers and more people working at the jail?
My goal as sheriff is to, again, do some videos and some recruitment type events where we try to recruit young people to come in and want to be a part of our organization. But again, they won't do that unless they trust us and feel that we are going to take care of them and we can build that trust relationship.
Do you think that the budget has something to do with that?
Well, the budget's always going to be an issue. I know in the upcoming years we're going to have a big budget issue with the fiscal cliff coming that everybody keeps talking about as far as the council and the commissioners. So the budget's going to be an issue as well. So being able to persuade the council and the commissioners to give us more staffing is going to be a more difficult task. But I think if we can show them that being good leaders and being involved in the community and the difference that we're making as a department, I think that will help attract the ability to get more money approved for more officers. We currently have 118 positions for police merit officers. I think we're down just a few numbers right now, but I would like to increase the amount of officers that we have.
To how many?
Well, at one time we had 124 officers, I believe, and it got down to 116, and then this year we added 2. So we're adding a few positions each year. So if we could add a few positions each year, I think that would be helpful. We definitely need more minorities. We need female officers. And so that's why I want to try to attract those types of individuals to first of all, trust us, to give them the opportunity to be employed with the jail or potentially become a police officer. But we have to build that trust with the community before we can start getting more recruits in there. But I definitely would like to focus on more minorities, more females, Hispanic officers, to get a more diverse police department.
Do you think the South Bend police tapes are going to be an issue within these primary debates?
The tapes I can't talk about because I have nothing to do with them whatsoever. That's another candidate has to answer those questions. They have nothing to do with me. I'm not involved in that issue at all, and that's the individuals that are involved in that are the ones who have to answer those questions.
Is there anything you would like to add personally or want people to know before they go out and vote?
I just want people to know that I am very dedicated to this job, and people who do truly know Bill Redman as a person know that I truly care about this police department. And it's been mentioned before that I bleed brown because of the brown uniform that I wear. It means a lot to me, and I want to continue doing positive things for this police department and the hardworking men and women who work on as police officers, as well as the men and women that work in that jail. Very dedicated individuals, and I want to lead this group into the future and in a positive way for this community.